Welcome into the Farzy Show, everybody, presented by DestinationRetirement.com. My name is Marc Farzy. Nice to have you along here at the Steven Singer Studios. The Sixers, they didn't look so good in Miami. We all know what happened. They didn't have James Harden. They played it back-to-back. Not a lot you can pull from that game, but you still want to see them win. They did it. It sucks. However, the Flyers won. We'll talk about a Flyers victory because we don't get to do that ever. So we'll do that. And then we'll talk about how the fan base didn't show up. Hat tip to our friend Dan Schwartz, who sent me or tagged me in a video on the old interweb to tell me about the Flyers fans being upset that other Flyers fans were at the game, which is the most Flyers fan thing ever. Now, I got to be careful. I'm not ripping Flyers fans, by the way, but I just will say that I think Flyers fans enjoy ripping their own more so than maybe other fan bases in the city enjoy ripping their own. But anyway, we'll get to that a little bit later. We'll get a little bit of NFL Combine, but today's a very special show. Brett Myers, ladies and gentlemen, joins the show today. World Series champion. I told you on Friday we'd have a special guest on Monday. It actually worked out. Sometimes it doesn't. But Brett Myers joins the show coming up in just a little bit. Brett and I talked for about 47 minutes. We talked on Friday, actually, and we talked for about 47 minutes. And in those 47 minutes, we covered the whole gambit. We cover a lot. He has his message to the fans about the lockout right now. He has some stories about 2008, the parade, what they did after they won the World Series when they all went back to Pat Burrell's house, and a problem that arose while they were at Pat Burrell's apartment, actually. So we got a lot to get to with Brett Myers. He also talked to us about his music career. And I didn't realize this, but he says in the interview he was supposed to go on tour with Leonard Skinner. And then COVID happened, and a whole bunch of plans ended up getting messed up, as we can all relate to. So we got a whole bunch of good stuff to get to, though, before we talk to Brett Myers, coming up in just a couple of minutes on the show when he joins us on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. And this is one of the things we get to talk about. That was Tyrese Maxey out and about. Now, I saw George Niang in the video. Allegedly, it was James Harden taking him out to a nice little steak dinner with some pickles. They do that with the little, you can see a little bit later in the video if you follow Dash 5 Harris. I don't think it's any relation to Tobias Harris, but that's the guy that posted the video. And apparently they're just having a good time out there in Miami at Poppy's Steaks after the loss. So at least they're in good spirits going into their next game against the Bulls, which, if you really want to look at this team as I do, as a team that should be number one in the Eastern Conference, and it's just a time will tell when that actually happens for the 76ers, this is a game against the Bulls that you should win. Please win this game against the Bulls. Win it handily. This time with James Harden in the lineup, and also this time not on a back-to-back. And after a nice steak dinner, where hopefully you guys filled up. I saw George Niang there in the shot. Obviously, Tyrese Maxey really couldn't make out anybody else, but at least the boys are loose after a tough loss, so to speak. So yeah, we'll see how that all plays out in just a little bit. Some other things. Regarding the 76ers team, really indirectly. Nikola Jokic had a 4-block triple-double for the Nuggets yesterday in what was a wild game for the Nuggets. You also saw an insane game from Ja Morant over the weekend, and an even more insane game from that Jason Tatum character in Boston. The Boston Celtics were able to take care of business against the Brooklyn Nets yesterday in a game where Jason Tatum dropped 54 points. How insane is that against the Brooklyn Nets? A game that they were chanting Kyrie sucks in Boston for the brief Boston Celtic Kyrie Irving. I always look at this whenever I look at a guy like not Kyrie Irving, whenever I look at a guy like Jason Tatum. I know everyone always says that he was never available, and that if Brian Colangelo would have said to Danny Ainge, well, I really like Jason Tatum, I'm going to take him, and I'm not going to take Markelle Fultz, then the trade would have never happened. I always go back to this. Mathematically speaking, which is to say factually speaking, Jason Tatum was available. Because, I don't know if people know this, 1 comes before 3, and the Sixers had 3. The Sixers had 1, while the Boston Celtics had 3. So you could have at number 1 taken Jason Tatum and not taken Markelle Fultz, and that would have been nice. And the other thing is, if you're looking at a guy like Brian Colangelo to keep his word, all I have to say to you in that thought is Burnergate. That's all I got to tell you. That's all I got to tell you. Burnergate, Eric Jr., and that whole shebang. All right. That actually, just last week, Joel Embiid actually brought up to everybody. So that was fun. But yes, Jason Tatum, I could have said, oh, wow, it would be nice to have him in a Sixers uniform. But not that I want to do the revisionist history thing for like an hour today, just because, you've got James Harden now and all that's in the past, can't change it. It's nothing about, it's all about what you can look forward to in the future. And that's what we're doing. So hopefully Bulls, Sixers tonight, they take care of business and they make you feel a lot better about their standing in the Eastern Conference, going into the playoffs. Now, what, 18 games away? So we'll see how all that plays out. We will get into the Flyers, ladies and gentlemen, because Dan Schwartz, our good friend, do I see him in the chat? Yeah, I do not. Sent me this video, just tagged me in this video over the weekend.
Hello, Philly, and welcome to the Wells Fargo Center. Tonight, Comcast Spectacor presents the Minnesota Wild and your Philadelphia Flyers.
Sorry for the skip there. There you are, Dan. Thank you for that video. That's not good. That was for the Minnesota Wild. You just heard a great Lou Nolan say that. So that was a bad game. That was another game that the Flyers lost. Now, I want to set the scene for you. On Saturday, we had some plans. We had some friends over. I wasn't watching the hockey game live. I went back and checked it out. But I had my phone in my pocket. And, as one does, you check your phone. And I'm sitting with my buddy, and I see the score, 4-3. And I go, oh, my God, hey, the Flyers won. And my buddy's reaction was, you're so surprised, pleasantly surprised. That's like the joy in your voice by saying the Flyers won and the shock. It's like a kid on Christmas. And I go, well, it is. Like, first off, that it was a 1-goal game. Just this is just my reaction from the score. That it was a 1-goal game that the Flyers won in the third period, which never happens, ever. They don't do that. The Flyers don't do that, especially not this year. They don't do that. They did that in this game. And they did that with some miraculous play. One, I think it was their first goal of the game. Oscar Lindblom keeps the puck alive in the back of the net, dumps it back to the blue line. They put the shot on goal from the blue line, and Oscar Lindblom deflects it in for the goal. Cam Atkinson had a couple of goals for you. He had a really pretty back and forth with Joel Farabee. And then with about 9 minutes left in the third period, Flyers are up 1 goal. And you're thinking, it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. They can't win these games. And sure enough, they win the game. They held on in the third period to a 1-goal game. And this was after multiple times being down. I think they were down 2-1, then they were down 3-2. And then from 3-2, they scored the 2 unanswered goals to get the win. Martin Jones was the net for the Flyers in the victory. Hey, look. The Flyers, as far as I'm concerned, what do they have now? 3 wins over their last, 10 games? They're smoking hot now, ladies and gentlemen. This Flyers team is a force to be reckoned with compared to the rest of the season. So there's that. NFL Combine was also over the weekend. The biggest thing as far as anything Eagles is concerned was Nick Sirianni, and April actually sent me this video. I saw it. It made its rounds, let's just say. But April was the first to send it to me, and I saw it. Nick Sirianni playing with a Fisher-Price basketball hoop with, I believe, one of the NFL Network reporters. Yeah, that's how they were testing the competitive nature of different prospects at the Combine while they were having their interview process. They were playing with a Fisher-Price basketball hoop to see how many shots out of 5 the guys could make, the draft prospects could make. I am here for it. And I know a lot of people will poke fun at this. I love it. I think you can tell a lot about a person by how they approach something like that. And when I say a person, I mean specifically someone who is trying to get into the NFL, somebody that is participating at the NFL Combine. That's what I mean by you can tell a lot from a person. You see their approach, whether or not they think it's stupid. You see whether or not they have a sense of humor. They see whether or not they have a little humility in themselves. Whether actually, I'm an athlete that's about to make millions of dollars. You want me to shoot at a Fisher-Price kid's hoop? What are you, crazy? And they just approach it with a good attitude. And obviously what they're mostly going for is to see how competitive the person can be. I'm all for that. I love these creative ways outside the box to just see how somebody responds. It beats the hell out of the standard questions. Is your mother attractive? Is your sister hot? Like, what? Like all these crazy questions that they come up at the combine, just to try to throw people off, just to see how they react. I'd rather them play on a Fisher-Price hoop. Because guess what? At least that actually shows some type of competitiveness and not just these questions that are designed just to throw somebody off. Is my mother attractive? If I say my mom's attractive, does that mean I think my mom's hot? No, it just means is your mom pretty. For the record, Eleanor Farzetta, lovely woman. Lovely, for the record. So the Eagles are having a lot of fun out there with the combine wrapping up and all that fun stuff. So there you go. I do want to get to this Brett Myers interview. I did edit a little bit, but there's just so much in here that I felt like I edited like 5 minutes, and it was only because there was like one story that was repeated. So I got out of that. But Brett talks to us about his music for about 15 minutes, and then we got about a solid 30 minutes of baseball conversation. So, and we're reliving some memories, including how Brett feels about if the Phillies were ever to win a World Series again. That's a fun one. But the one that really caught my attention was the one that at Pat Burrell's house. And in case people didn't know this, I know most of you guys know this, I think. But in case you didn't know this, and I'll explain this for the interview, Brett Myers pulled a prank on Kyle Kendrick. Kyle Kendrick had a really good rookie year. Like he was called up from Double-A in 2007 and actually helped pitch the Phillies into the playoffs. Had like a sub-4 ERA, had a great year. And, great second half of the season, I guess it was, because he was called up from Double-A and pitched really well. I believe it was the following year Brett Myers pulls a prank on Kyle Kendrick, and I want to say they were MLB network cameras following Brett Myers around for this. He drafted a document in Phillies letterhead, all right, that said Kyle Kendrick had been traded to Japan for a guy named Kobayashi, which I don't know if that was the only Japanese name that Brett Myers could think of, but that's what he did. He traded him for Kyle Kendrick. So they got Ruben Amaro Jr. in on the prank. They got Charlie Manuel in on the prank. And they basically traded Kyle Kendrick. They went through the entire process of trading the guy. And Kyle Kendrick was never the same pitcher after it. They tell him at the end, "Oh, we're just messing with you, man. You got traded for a hot dog eater." Ha 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 ha. Meanwhile, Kyle Kendrick's expression the entire time is like, "Oh my God, I thought it was a great year as a kid, coming up from Double-A and helped get us into the playoffs. Now they're trading me." So Kyle Kendrick was really never the same pitcher after that. That gets brought up in the interview, just for the people that didn't know that prank that actually happened. Brett will talk to you about that in just a second. But ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you about Destination Retirement, destinationretirement.com. My man Mike Seibert, a retirement income certified professional, is a financial advisor for Eagles and Sixers fans only. His firm, destinationretirement.com. Destination Retirement LLC is a full-service planning firm and a partner of 1847 Financial. Mike helps clients with their accumulation years as well as their distribution years. So what's the difference between the two? A lot. Have you figured out how much you'll need per month when you retire? How much your retirement income? How much of that would you like guaranteed, no matter what? Do you want to protect any assets from downside market risk? And do you have a written plan? If you have questions, if you need answers, and you have assets of $250,000 or more, Mike will create a written plan to help offset your retirement expenses free of charge using a software from Retirement Analyzer. He usually charges just under $2,000, so act now. Your plan will show you how to offset your retirement expenses and what you need to do in a volatile market and help minimize taxes. And with over 30 years of experience in the financial game, Mike is committed to helping Eagles and Sixers fans only get to and through retirement. You can reach Mike at 484-275-6035. That's 484-275-6035, or visit destinationretirement.com. Destinationretirement.com. Click on Find Out at the top of the page and fill out the questionnaire to see how prepared you are for retirement. And to sign up for this newsletter, make sure you click on Find Out at the top of the page at destinationretirement.com. Mike will get back to you and talk to you about how he can help. And as always, go Birds, and play the song, destinationretirement.com. Let me tell you about Steven Singer, Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut. For over 40 years in Philadelphia, Steven Singer has been helping Philadelphia fall in love. That's what Steven Singer likes to do, and that's what he likes to say. He's in the love business in Philadelphia. So head on down to the other corner of 8th and Walnut and check out their beautiful inventory, and here is the best part about it. A lot of people get nervous when it comes to buying a diamond, but you don't have to worry about that at Steven Singer, because you don't have to worry about negotiating or haggling or whether or not the person next to you is paying less. Did they get the better deal? No, everybody gets the same deal. Me, I get the same deal. I've known the guy for 15 years. Steven Singer Jewelers has one place, one price. Steven Singer Jewelers, the perfect price every single day. So when you walk in there, you know you're getting taken care of just like everybody else. They're not going to mark things way up just to mark it down a couple of bucks in front of you, make you feel like, oh, this guy's a good negotiator, right? No, every other jeweler might do that, not Steven Singer. You know you're getting the perfect price every single day. Beautiful diamond engagement rings, ready for love diamond engagement rings. In case you're in a pinch, you can get married quick, you get engaged quick, you walk right in, ready for love, boom, you're out, you're good to go. You also have beautiful tennis bracelets, necklaces, earrings, diamond stud earrings that are just breathtaking. Ladies and gentlemen, do what I do. Go to Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right on Jewelers Row in Philadelphia. One place, one price, the perfect price, and always fast and free shipping at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, there's one more thing. How dare I? How dare I? I wanted to make sure I got this in. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a perfect timing. Reese Theodore, I see you in the chat. Welcome in. Perfect timing. Ben Simmons. Remember that fella? He ain't playing. Woj put it out there over the weekend that there's no way, no chance he plays against the Sixers on March 10th, which is 3 days from today. However, Alex Scheifer, I believe, of The Athletic, covers Brooklyn Nets, says Steve Nash said Ben Simmons isn't with the Nets in Boston, but will join the team on this road trip, which ends in Philadelphia. So Ben Simmons could be on the bench in Philadelphia this week. Ladies and gentlemen, I would be shocked if Ben Simmons was on the bench. Now, one might think, if he's not playing, how do you boo a guy on a bench? Well, easily. First off, and secondly, even if it's not the stereotype boo, right? There are still plenty of chance. For instance, yesterday, which is why I mentioned this earlier, Kyrie Irving on the court for the Nets yesterday in Boston, and fans constantly chanting, Kyrie sucks, Kyrie sucks, Kyrie sucks. Same thing could happen, and most likely will happen with Ben Simmons. However, I would assume something along the lines of a baby chant would happen. Maybe something like that, like baby or something like that. I don't know. They'll have at Ben. So the reason I actually think he's not going to be on the bench is because, as I said before, if I was ever a surfer, which I'm not, and I ever got bit by a shark, I'm not going back to the ocean anytime soon. All right? So if I'm Ben Simmons and I hated it in Philadelphia and all these things went wrong in Philadelphia, now I'm starting to get mentally better, I guess. I'm not going anywhere near Philadelphia. If I'm just starting to get on the other side of things, I'm not dipping my toes back in the water of Philadelphia. Intentional. I'm not doing that, especially when I'm just starting to get back on track. Now, they said in the next week or so, he should be ramping up his workout and ramping up his whole activity to get ready to actually return to play. But for the mental aspect of it, if he was having mental health issues, the last thing I'm doing is being like, oh, good, let me go back to Philly. Now, you might look at it the other side. Oh, maybe this is the mountain he needs to climb. I don't think so. I think this is a mountain to climb later, not this fresh, so to speak. So if he's actually on the bench, what is it, Thursday? I'd be shocked. But that's the latest with Ben Simmons. Oh, and baseball still locked out. Not only locked out, deadlocked. Major League Baseball, the latest. Major League Baseball came out with a statement yesterday saying that the Players Association's latest proposal was worse than what they walked away from at the end of last week. So let's have some fun. So why don't we reminisce a little bit more about baseball and see what else they got going on with our friend Brett Myers as he joins us on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. Now on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line, it is my great thrill, my great pleasure to welcome in a World Series champion and a fine musician, ladies and gentlemen. You know him, you love him. His name is Brett Myers. Brett, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Now, I have heard about you. You've been in music for a while now, obviously. 12 years in Major League Baseball, 9 of which with the Phillies. But I have heard stories about you just being into music for a long time. You got your own group going on. People can follow you right now on social media, such as Facebook. People can check you out right here, Brett Myers, and obviously Brett Myers Music, of course, on Twitter and also other social media platforms. When did you decide to jump headfirst into music?
Well, so how it all started was crazy. So when I got to the big leagues in 2002, our video guy, Kevin Camasholi, was used to be a guitar teacher. So I grew up listening to music. Everybody does, obviously. But, being from Jacksonville, Florida, I was a big fan of Leonard Skinner. So I'm like, oh, I want to play that stuff. And then when I realized they had like 3 guitar players, I'm like, I got no shot. So, I started trying to learn some songs from him in 2002, just learning, kind of not really jumping fully into it, but just kind of, you got a lot of downtime when you're not playing and stuff like that. So you kind of need something to do to occupy your time. So I just basically kind of started, fiddling with the guitar and trying to learn stuff. And I would probably say 2013, when I was injured with the Indians, I had called my buddy and I was like, I've always kind of wanted just to write my own song, whether it be on guitar or whether it be just lyrically. Just to write stuff down, express yourself, I guess, a little bit that way, or tell stories. And so 2013, I think I bought some equipment and plugged it in the computer and wrote some stuff down. I brought my guitar player, Zach Broderick, in. He was with Nonpoint at the time. And he came in and he did some riffs, and we had like a drum machine. So it was very, uneducated, I guess you would say. It sucked. Okay, it just sucked. All right. But at the time, I thought it was awesome. Like, I thought it was like the greatest thing I've ever done. And they're like, "Okay, get in there and go sing it." I go, "No, I did it." I have some beers. I was like, "Whatever." So, and it was terrible. It was awful. Okay, so so then my buddy, who's a producer, played in Puddle of Mud. He's here in Jacksonville. He's in my band now. Plays bass. He played bass in Puddle of Mud as well. Damon Starkey. And I was like, "Hey man, I got these 3 songs. You got to check them out. I think they're great." And he hears them and he's like, "Yeah, man, let's play golf or something," and then we got to talking. And obviously with him being a producer and having the right equipment and stuff, it's going to be twice as good, and I didn't know anything about the recording process or any of that stuff. So he said, "Let's do a song together." So I did a song. He apparently liked my voice for some reason, and or something like that. And he goes, we write the song, and I'm like, "Sweet." He goes, "Get in there and sing it." It took me 2 weeks before I got in there and sang the song. He kind of tricked me. He goes, "Hey man, I'm having some people over, come hang out." And then we got some beers, probably 6, 7 beers later. He goes, "Get in the booth and sing." I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah, right.
It's like, I'm like, I fought him for 2 weeks about getting in there singing because I didn't fancy myself as a singer. I love playing guitar. I'd never sang before. I don't even think I've ever sang in the shower, honestly. So it took a lot. Like, it was tough, man. I was like, "Oh, great, this guy's got to hear me sing, and he's going to just sit there, and I can't see him. I'm in another room, and he's probably in there rolling his eyes, going, 'This guy's terrible.'" So, like, just in my own head, like, I was psyching myself out. Like, I'm like, this is going to be awful. This is going to be awful. So, and he was like very, like, he helped me, you know what I mean? Cause he had vocal coaching. He was in bands before Puddle, and he was the lead singer and stuff. So it was kind of like he brought me along, helping me sing, like, with tone and stuff like that. Stuff I had no idea about. Nothing. Like, I didn't. And I could say I was probably more nervous in there than I was, like, pitching in front of a bunch of people, because and there was only one guy in the room. Luckily, I guess, my whole thing was I didn't want him to tune it. I wanted it to sound natural. I didn't want him to tune it. So it took a lot of takes for that to happen, for it to, and I didn't know about warming your voice up and none of that stuff. So first album was tough. And then, like, well, I mean, the writing part was easy. The singing part was like, I do not want to be in here. I would have to like take my shirt off because I'd be sweating like a pig in there. So, like, nervous and just going, "Oh, this is sounding terrible. I don't know what to do," and it just took, the first album was like always, it's like, just get through it. And then once you got done with it, and all the retakes and the takes of trying to make it sound as good as it did, because I should have just let him tune it. It probably wouldn't have took as long, but I couldn't. I mean, there is some, obviously, some frustration in there because I want to be perfect. Obviously, we're playing baseball too. You want to be perfect, but it's just not that easy. And it was just frustrating for me, that first album, but I had fun doing it, writing the songs.
Mm-hmm.
I dreaded getting in there and singing it.
I'm sure. And what's funny to me is, in my mind, I, of course, go to how I know you, which is as a guy standing alone on the pitcher's mound in South Philadelphia in front of the Philadelphia Philly faithful. And sometimes they didn't have the nicest thing in the world to say. Was it more, you said it was more, I guess, I don't know, pressure or more uncomfortable being in the room with one person versus the mound?
Well, this guy has like a big resume. He played in big bands, like in front of hundreds of thousands of people with Puddle of Mud and stuff. And he was a singer and stuff like that. So like going in there, I'm going, man, this is going to be bad. This could be the end. This would be a quick end to something I thought was going to be cool, and he liked it. Like, he liked the tone. He liked what I was doing, or he just was like, yeah, give me some money and we can try to make this sound good or something, But after the first album, I started on the second album. Like I just had these ideas and I had to write it, and I had to do it. And I just wanted to get better, I guess I would say. From each album you could go and I progressed, I would say, just like with anything, like with pitching and stuff like that. I've been playing baseball since I was 4 years old. I started singing, 5 years ago. So just imagine like when I would be 9 right now in my music career, so if I did that. So the one thing that really scared the hell out of me, I guess I would say, more than actually just getting in the booth, was when he told me, he goes, "Hey man, we need to play this stuff live in front of people." I'm like, yeah, that's not happening. I was like, no way, dude, no chance, man. So I was being funny, and I just said, all right, dude, if we play an arena, I'll play live. And he goes, okay, cool. We laughed at it. It was funny. About 3 months later, the Jacksonville Sharks, the arena team, calls me up and asks me to do a halftime show. And I'm going, oh no, this is bad. This is real bad. And being a man of my word, I've literally insert foot in mouth and was like, oh boy, I got to do this, So that took about 5 months for me, or maybe it was 3 or 4 months. I'm not quite sure, but and all I had to do was 2 songs. I was so afraid of messing up. I would sit in my music room in this room and sing these songs every day for hours. I was afraid to mess the words up, and I was just so afraid to, because you put on a live show, people are expecting you to be good, I guess, and I mean, there's some shows where stuff happens and stuff, but I was not prepared to suck that day. And I did not want that to happen. So, and it was, my first show was in front of 10,000 people, and it was only 2 songs at a halftime show. And I'm freaking out. Like, everybody's, oh, you got it, man. You pitched in front of 40,000 people before. I'm like, yeah, I did that since I was 4. I just started this last year. This is not good. I am literally freaking the hell out on this thing, man. So, but once I had that feeling, it felt like I got back on the mound. Once you got through it and did everything, and then I was like, oh, I need more of that adrenaline. I need more of that. I would say there's a lot of anxiety leading up to it, even when I pitch. Like, you just you don't know how you're going to feel, or if your stuff's going to be good that day. So same thing with, I know we rehearsed well and stuff, but I've had shows where, my ears go out or something, and you're just like panic, So that I was like, guys, we have to practice when my stuff goes out so that I can just look like nothing happened, so I can just keep moving forward. And, but I enjoy playing shows. I'd honestly rather do that now than probably get in the studio and work on stuff. Because I mean, I think I got a big body of work enough now. I mean, I'll always have ideas and stuff and just jot them down and build a story around it. That's fun too. But playing live shows is the closest thing to me playing baseball again, I guess, like the feeling,
Absolutely. And
except I can drink before I go up there.
Yeah, I think in baseball it's frowned upon. It's frowned upon. Yeah.
I don't think I need that.
So maybe I had this wrong. I had heard rumors of you playing after a game, like after a win at Citizens Bank Park. I have heard rumors of you playing at McFadden's. Is that true?
Yep. That
really?
did happen. Yeah, I think I might have pitched that game. I had my buddy's band. I don't know. They changed their name a couple times. I don't know if they were subject to change then, or I don't know. Down Theory. I don't know which one they were called, but at the time they came up there, they just came up and hung out with me for a week or whatever, and I got them. I talked to some people at McFadden, see if they could play a show. Mm-hmm. I want to say I pitched against the Pirates that night, and then went up there and played a couple songs with them on guitar. I didn't sing. I was fresh into learning guitar at the time. Probably, I don't know. I'd probably been playing guitars 2 or 3 years maybe, and I knew. Fortunately enough, I knew a couple of their songs, and I was like, I'll get up there and play. I don't care. So that was kind of my first experience playing guitar up there. Now, on a guitar, you can turn it down so that they don't know if you're playing or not. You can kind of fake it. But your lead singer, you can't turn that stuff down, man. Like, it's focused right on you. So with another guitar player up there, you can just be like, I'm going to just turn it down. He's killing it or whatever like that. But when you're the lead singer, man, if you don't know it, you're screwed. And it's funny. Like, you rehearse it, for 3 days leading up to the show or whatever it is, and you go over it, 2-3 times each the set 2-3 times, and the day of the show, you're like, oh my God, I don't know if I can remember the words, and then you hear that first note, and you're like, oh, I got it. Mm-hmm. Like, leading up to the song, the intro of a song, sometimes I was up there just kind of blanking, going, and then right when it hit that one note, like I was supposed to start, I knew the words all of a sudden.
Wow.
Like, what is that? How does that happen? Because our shows are so spread out, like COVID really, really hurt us. Mm-hmm. We were supposed to go out with Travis Tritt and Skinner like a week before they shut the country down. And I was like, crap, man, that was like a big deal for us. So
wow. You were going to go on tour with Leonard Skinner.
Yeah, we had three shows that we were going to do with them in Mississippi, Louisiana, and maybe New Orleans, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not quite sure. But
I should say that the music you do, the genre is like Southern rock, right? I should stress that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's country / Southern rock. I mean, like, big influence Skinner for us, and the guys in the band. I have 2 guys, former players in Puddle of Mud, Shine Down, Cold, and my drummer is actually Rosalind Collins' drummer. It's his son. So,
oh wow, okay.
So yeah, and the Shinedown guitar player was actually married to Ronnie Van Zant's daughter too. So it's kind of like we got it all together. We know what we're doing with it, or trying to create the sound. So
small world.
A lot of exactly, sure is.
Small world. And your latest album, by the way, is available now wherever you guys can download your music. Wrong Side of the Tracks is the latest album, correct?
Yep.
Okay,
that's it.
Awesome. And you recorded that in the summer, last summer?
So we were at one time obviously COVID kind of pushed us back, but we were putting an album out a year. When I first started, like each time just putting an album out every year. So I say it takes about that. It's not like a rushed process or anything. It's more or less that if an idea comes to me, boom, I'll go in and I'll do the song. So
okay.
It's not like they all just come at once. So it's like, I like that process, but now we're in a pretty good groove with the band, and we just go in and write the song, and then I go sing it, and then we go to lunch. We drink some whiskey and eat some chicken wings. I mean, it's like, it's pretty good.
Yeah, really.
Satisfied after that feels like, oh man, I just completed something. Like, it just, that's the good feeling, Mm-hmm. Like when you do a live show, you're like, man, I wish I could have done another hour,
Right.
So because you just don't want that feeling to end.
I'm sure,
because that's a good adrenaline rush for you.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I don't want to brag, but I was shark number 3 in West Side Story in high school, so I know the feeling of a pack.
Yeah.
Now. But if you had to write a Southern rock song about Charlie Manuel, how would that go? You think? Like, would it be an upbeat type thing? Would it be a ballad? Like, how would that go?
Wow, that's like on the spot right there. I don't know. Like, I did a song called Better Man that I liked. You know how like it's kind of slow and then it picks up? That's kind of what I would think it more like Charlie would be, like, start it off slow, but then, have it pick up like towards the end, like a Freebird type thing, All right.
So
that's kind of what I was thinking, like start it slow and then have it pick up at the end. Cause Charlie is like a good man. I love and respect that guy. I actually just saw him probably 3-4 months ago. So it's pretty cool to, he always tells me the same stories, which is awesome because I'll never forget them. And it's usually bad and it's my fault. So he's like, "Hey, remember that time that you did this?" And I'm like, "No, I don't want to, Charlie."
I only remember one instance with you and Charlie when he took you from a game. I want to say it was in Washington. Yeah. You guys didn't agree necessarily on the decision.
No, that was in Philly.
It was in Philly. Okay.
It was I think it was 2008. And I just came back from the minors, and I was feeling good. I had it, and I hated coming out of games anyway. Like I wanted the ball. I wanted him to trust me, say I had the ball. And I remember him telling me, and I don't know if that's what ticked me off, what he said, or just him pulling me out. I don't know, because I'm in the heat of the moment and pitching, and like I pitched with my hair on fire. That's why I don't have any now. So, so I was always like, competing, man. And when he pulled me out, I was just really, I was upset that day. And I think he told me, I told him, "You don't trust me," and, or something like that. And I told him, "You ain't pulling me out." And he goes, "Hey, did you check the weather today?" And I went, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, it's a chance of showers. You're done." And I'm like, I don't know if that made me mad or whatever like that, but I was just pissed that I got pulled out of the game or I didn't do that. And then what made me more mad, I guess I might have told him to F off or something. I'm quite sure. I probably did, but, and then I walked in the dugout and I just had to go down in the tunnel and just be pissed for a minute. Mm-hmm. And Doobie came down there and made me even more mad because he like grabbed me or something. Then Charlie came down there and yelled at me for a minute. And then I was ready to fight. And then I'm like, I'm just going to go up there. But I cooled off. I talked to Charlie afterwards. I wasn't never really like mad at him though. You know what I mean? It was just that one time, like, for me, even like coaching my kids or watching other guys playing college, I don't want to see a guy go, "Hey man, come get me. Here's the ball." Like I want to get the hell out of here, Mm-hmm. So I guess I prided myself on that and not wanting to come out of games. And he told me several times, or I've told him, I'm like, "Yeah, right decision, dude. I'm spitting, sputtering out here, man. I'm running out of gas, So, I mean, some of those times where he was right, but that time I didn't feel like he was right, but it happens. Mm-hmm. But never, ever have I been mad at Charlie Manuel. Mm-hmm. Like really, like, "Oh, man, we got a problem here in Philly or something." No. I said, Charlie is like my guy, man.
I love the idea of him coming out with like a dad joke, like "chance of showers." Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, see, he always did that, man. He would always have some crack joke or whatever like that. And I don't know if that made me mad, but he told that story the other day. I think I saw it. Somebody posted on Twitter. He was telling a story about me, that same story right there. And so I tweeted back at him. I said, "Oh, you think you're funny, Charlie, don't you? You think you're funny?" And it is funny. It is funny.
Sure.
Like, because I was in the heat of the moment. And he comes out busting jokes. I'm like, that's not funny right now. But you look back at it and it's hilarious.
It really, I mean, we obviously here in Philadelphia have so many great memories with you and the 2008 Phillies and then getting back to the World Series in 2009. We've heard and we've dated amongst the fan base and media, obviously, about what could have been with that team. When you guys won in 2008, were you thinking, "Oh, this is just the beginning. Like, we're set up here"?
You know what? I don't know. Honestly, like I would say 2007, how that season ended, or how the regular season ended, where we were literally watching the scoreboard as we were trying to beat the Nationals, and all the work that went into that from the bullpen perspective. I think me, J.C. Romero, and Flash Gordon, Tom Gordon threw like, 10 days out of 11 or 11 out of 12, or JC might have done 12 out of 12 just to get to that point to where we could go to the playoffs. And that was actually fun and intense because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be right there in the middle of that thing. So, and when we came up short with the Rockies, I know I said this in the paper at the time. Jimmy and Howard and all them got pissy at me when we were in Colorado going to finish the series there after they beat us. I just kind of felt like we were just like, okay, we're happy we made it type thing. I know it wasn't that. that's not what I meant by it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just almost like, oh, we're here in the playoffs. Like, now what?
Right. Like almost like you guys hit a pinnacle too early, kind of thing.
Right. Like, oh, we made it. We finally did it. We finally got here, type thing. And the city wanted us to be in the playoff, wanted that team to be in the playoffs for so long. It kind of was like, oh, like we did it, instead of going, oh, we still got this many more games, type thing. I'm not saying that was the mentality, but I just kind of like that's just kind of the feeling I had, I guess. And then 2008 coming into the season, I think everybody was really ticked off that we lost like that. We got swept. It wasn't fun. But once we had that taste of how the crowd and the fans were and what the playoff scene was like, it was over after that. Like it was like we knew in 2008 that we had a dang good shot to get back there to the playoffs at least. Never would have thought that what happened. Obviously, when you start the season, that everybody's goal is to get to the playoffs and find out what happens. But for a team like that people don't really consider like the pitching staff as a bunch of aces. Like some of these, they're like, oh, we got Verlander, Cole, all these guys that that were on the same staff. They're like, they're for sure going to the World Series. Or you had the Holidays, the Hamels, the Blanton, the Moyer, and Oswalt and Cliff Lee, the guys they had. Like after that, you were like, oh, there's nobody beating them. Baseball, you're going to get beat, but I'm like, the playoffs. There's no way they don't win a World Series with that staff, right? Mm-hmm. And they didn't. You know what I'm saying? So, and that had nothing against those guys one bit. It's funny how our pitching staff at the time is Hamels was the ace and I was the 2 guy, and everybody looks at that like, oh, they had the worst pitching staff at the time. But you know what? We got hot at the right time and kicked everybody's rear end. So I don't see a problem with that,
Mm-hmm.
Like I had a worst season of my career, like 2008. I got sent to the minors. I came back second half and did what I was supposed to do, and it helped the team. That's all I cared about. I didn't care what my ERA was. We got in the playoffs. I went out there to freaking win every game we played. Mm-hmm. And still to this day, everybody's like, oh, you're World Series champ. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I was the only guy to lose a game in the World Series. I do that to myself, though. I do it to myself. Like I talk trash to myself because it just keeps me right here, man. It keeps me on the same level.
Good for you.
Just because, I never forgot where I came from and stuff like that. I know how hard it is. The game's not that easy. You go through ups and downs and stuff, but it dang sure does feel good when you can win a championship for a city like Philadelphia, because since I got there in 2002, it took us 6 years to win one. What Philly fans, I guess, found out later about me is that they can boo me all they want. They were not booing me harder than I was booing myself when I sucked. I can promise you that, So it's like, oh yeah, I know I suck. You don't have to tell me. I'd go out to dinner, like, you suck tonight. I'm like, thanks for telling me. I was there. I saw it.
Thanks for the reminder.
It was bad. Yeah,
Thank you.
It was bad. But I never got offended by it. You never got mad because I was very honest with myself, and tried not to make excuses about how bad I sucked. But it wasn't for lack of trying. Like I was busting my ass every time I went out there. Some days I sucked. It's like if it was that easy, everybody'd be in the Hall of Fame and Cy Young Award winners. Some guys do make it look easy, though.
I want to ask you.
I wasn't that guy.
I want to ask you about this and then segue it a little bit into what's kind of going on now. The universal DH is coming into baseball, and you have one of probably the most famous pitchers at bat in the history of postseason Phillies, if not all of baseball, when you took on CC Sabathia. Worked a walk, and if memory serves me correctly, I meant to double check, 12 or 13 pitch at bat?
Something like that. I want to say it might have been 10 or 9 the first at bat. I don't know. I don't keep it. It's funny because I tell people that they bring that up for me all the time. It's like, that's what put me on the map as a Philly, that at bat. And I was like, I threw 7 innings that game and gave up like 1 or 2 runs, gave up like 3 or 4 hits, punched out, 8 guys or something like that. I'm like, I pitched that game. I pitched my ass off that game. And all you guys are talking about is a stupid walk. But that's kind of what I think about. And then I go, if he didn't walk Jimmy after that, the Victor Reno thing wouldn't happen. Now, I could say that I did wear him down a little bit. He was probably frustrated, and I had no idea what the hell I was doing up there. The guy's throwing 98 miles an hour on my hands, and I'm just up there going, fouling stuff off and breaking my bat and going, where'd the ball go? Like I didn't have any idea. Like it was the craziest thing. Now in high school, I could hit. Like I was a good hitter. When I got to big leagues, I wasn't hitting that stuff they were throwing up there. It was freaking good stuff, like dang. Like, that was a good pitch, man. It felt like Pedro Serrano up there. Good pitch, man. Good pitch. But so I don't know, man. When I went into that game, I was just trying to match what he did on the mound that day. I didn't care about that at bat, And it just so happened I just kept fouling it off, and I'm going, and the moment never got me. I never even thought about it, and I never even thought it was going to be a big moment. Honestly, and it's like all I'm really known for in Philly now is all they talk about. I did throw a lot of pitches and innings for you guys for quite a few years, but that's what people bring up, and that's fine. But I didn't realize at the moment that was like going to be a big deal. And then obviously Shane hitting that grand slam was like, that didn't even really sink in to me, But all I knew is that I just had to handle my job on the mound to make sure that we could beat CC. That was it, because he was probably the most dominant pitcher in baseball at that time, and going on 3 days rest just to get them to the playoffs. And maybe when he got to me, that 3 days rest stuff caught up to him or whatever like that, or got to us. Maybe he got a little tired. I don't know. I'm trying to help him out here because I'm not definitely giving myself the credit for any of that. It's just crazy how it happened. Like,
you worked a walk.
Pure dumb luck.
You worked a walk as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
it's bottom line.
The thing that was crazy, so like after that game, because I think I went 1 for 2 that game because I got a hit too. I was like, this is crazy. I flew at the next at bat. I flew out the center off of him. It was like the same thing. And I was like, what is going on? This guy's got the nastiest stuff. And I'm up here fighting him with like 19 total pitches. And this is CC Sabathia, man. Like, this is a dude, And next at bat, they're telling me in the dugout, they're like, oh, it was Seth McClung. He's like, oh, he tips his slider. So I'm out there staring at him, like, seeing if he's tipping his slider. I didn't know what was coming. I'm like, I have no idea. I'm just swinging. So I swung, got a hit off of him. I'm going, oh, boy, this is crazy. So after the game, so they do a game. They talk to you before your start in the playoffs, and then they talk to you afterwards. So like the day before they talk to you, before your start.
The media you're talking about?
Yeah. You'll go in a room and they'll talk to you the day before your start. They'll talk to you and say, well, blah, blah, blah. So after that game, all they wanted to talk about was my at bat. And so I was like, well, yeah, those 7 innings, and they were like, no, you're at bats. I'm like, oh, great. So then the next day I go out there and go 3 for 3 with 3 ribbies. And I'm like, I quit. I'm just going to quit baseball right now. This is probably the coolest thing ever. Yeah, I'm still not a hitter, guys. Still not a hitter. So, but with the DH stuff that you're talking about, like, I don't know why they got to change stuff. I mean, I get, trying to make sure pitchers don't get hurt and stuff or whatever, but I enjoyed playing baseball. I grew up playing baseball, obviously hitting and playing other positions. So the days I pitched, I enjoyed hitting unless the guy was like CC Sabathia, which I thought walked in and was like, I'm not looking forward to this. Some guys were just nasty like that you just go, no, I don't want nothing to do with this guy. Can I just take my strikeout and go sit down and get a cup of water and get ready to pitch again? So, some days there's like that, it definitely was easier in the National League because, you only had to really get the 7, 8 hole hitter out. You focus real hard on them, get them out. And then you kind of had an easy out with the pitcher usually. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like what I did to CC type thing. That was a rarity, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so with that, and now like even pitching in the American League, which I did, there's no let up, which there's usually not anyway. Like you still want to make your pitches as a pitcher, but when the pitcher came up, it's like a unwritten rule that the pitcher takes first pitch strike no matter what. And I did not in the playoffs. I swung at every first pitch. I got 4 hits, and I swung at every first pitch. And I don't know why. And I don't know if I was in trouble or not, but I didn't care. I'm like, I'm going for it.
Good for you. Right now, and I've been a baseball first fan my entire life, but recently we get reminded that it's a business constantly. When we were coming back from pandemic and they were going to start playing games in a shortened season, that took forever. And now we got a lockout going on. Brett Myers, what would you tell the fans right now about your sport of baseball?
Be patient. I mean, it's knowing the ins and outs of how all that stuff kind of works. And I wouldn't blame anybody. Although I was a player and I'm still part of the union or whatever. The owners are against the players because they want to save money. You know what I mean?
It's business. I understand. Yeah.
Right. And I guess, most of the part where I get, I know they want the younger players to make a little bit more money. That way, because there's a thing with arbitration and everything. I guess the owners can basically say, oh no, we're going to release you and bring up a younger player because he's cheaper. And they're not trying to compete. Like, why would they pay a Mike Trout if they're not going to compete for playoffs? Stuff like that. Why would they overpay these guys? Every team and owner goes into a season planning on the playoffs, except for some of these guys these days. They just want that luxury tax, and that puts more money in the owner's pocket, and then they don't spend it. Like, that luxury tax is set there for, where the Yankees are going to spend all this money to try to win a World Series, which is what everybody's trying to do. Then they take that money, the threshold over the what the cap is on that, what the luxury tax is, and then they kick it back to a team like the Marlins or some of these low budget teams, and then the Marlins just sit on the money. They don't go spend it in free agency and try to make their team better. So that's like a big issue that I think that is like you should have to spend that money and not keep your salary or your payroll at, $60-70 million for a team when the Yankees are basically paying for you to go get better players.
Right.
I think you should, with that tax money, that luxury tax money that you get, I think you should have to spend it in the free agent market or on the players you already have.
That'd be nice.
Because everybody wants to see their team competitive. You know what I mean? I mean, I want to see it. Like, I pull for the Phillies still. I want to see them competitive. I'm selfish of me. I don't want to ever see them win another World Series until I die. That's just me being selfish.
Is that the rule? Is that the rule until then? Okay.
Yeah. And when I die, go ahead, win it as many times as you want after that. I don't care. But I wouldn't be having this conversation with you if they won another one. You'd be calling Bryce Harper or Hector Neris or something like that. You know what I mean?
Now, let me ask you this on that note real quick. You were a fiery guy. Obviously, you said so yourself a minute ago. How would you have liked to have been teammates with Bryce Harper?
I don't know Bryce too well. I've met him a couple of times, and I don't like him just because he's a hitter, I think. Maybe he didn't like me because I was a pitcher.
Maybe.
I don't know.
You're both fiery, so maybe.
No, yeah. I don't think we would have a problem. Teammate-wise, like I was good teammate. Like I said, I busted jokes. Sometimes I might not have known when to make the jokes, but I just did it anyway. But
I'll ask Kyle Kendrick about that.
Well, yeah. I talk to him, regularly, about maybe once a month or something like that, just shooting text, see how he's doing or whatnot. But because I got his number from the Phillies a few years ago, he was still playing. He was with the Red Sox, and they brought that prank up, and he sounded like he was still butthurt about it. So I called him. So I got his number, and I'm like, dude, do I really need to apologize to you like 15 years later or something like that, man? Like, are you okay? Like, are you okay, buddy? Like, it just busting his chops like I always did. Like, and I was like, please tell me that guy wrote that to make you look like a sissy, because that's what he did. He made you look like a sissy. Like, you're still upset and heartbroken that somebody would do that to you.
Oh,
I was like, man, I don't know. If somebody did that to me, I would have laughed. I'd still be laughing. I still laugh about it sometimes.
There's something I need to ask you about. I had heard, first off, two quick things, and you're being so generous with your time, and I appreciate it. Two quick things back to your playing days with the Phillies here. In 2009, obviously Harry Kalas had passed away in the early portion of that year, very early portion of that year.
Right. Yeah.
One of my last
in Washington.
Matt Stairs' last home run, Harry Kalas called. I remember at the end of that season, one of my lasting memories of you, images, is you were one of the first players to go out with, I think it was a pounder of Bud Light or whatever it was, Budweiser, and you went out to the HK in left center field and you like cheers Harry Kalas.
Yeah, so there's a story behind that. So when I was younger coming up, when Kevin Millwood was there, Millwood never rode the players' bus for some reason. So I just shadowed him. And basically, I would sit on the media / coach's bus with him, and we would always sit in the back with Harry and Larry Anderson and Scott Graham and drink beers with them or just talk baseball and stuff like that. So that was kind of what that was from, because I spent a lot of time with Harry and talking with him. And he was such a nice guy. It was like kind of hard, I just wanted to hear his stories about the guys that he called games for, the guys. Like, it's like a Ben Scully, like you talk to him and he has a story about knows everything about everybody. So it was one of those things. So that was kind of like my last beer with Harry type thing for me, because, he would always be on the plane. I would always go to the front and talk to him, Scott Graham, LA, and just always, I guess, cool with him. And he would always tell me stories and we would talk, and it was just fun. Like, you spend a lot of time with these people on flights and buses and stuff like that too. So, and that guy's a legend, he's an absolute legend. So,
No
so why not get some knowledge, not necessarily of how to play and stuff like that, but just kind of how he sees the game and how he calls it and stuff like that. So that's kind of was like just a tribute to Harry, just from, all the times that we would sit on the bus or be on the plane, just kind of BSing about random stuff. I mean, it could be anything, not necessarily baseball all the time.
What was that Millwood character? What was we couldn't ride on the bus? What's going on there?
I don't know why he did that, honestly. I have no idea. But I shadowed him. Like, that was I was trying to learn from him. He was with the Braves, man. He was with the Maddoxes and the Glavins and the Smoltz and stuff. So I'm like, I'm gonna follow this guy around and I'm gonna see what he's got.
Not a bad idea.
So I was trying to learn from him, and he didn't mind me following him. I was like a little puppy dog on a leash with him. But that's what I was looking for. I need somebody to guide me through, basically turn me into a big leaguer.
I have heard this story about the first time most of the guys, I don't know if this includes you, the first time most of the guys heard Harry Kalas's call, and the 2008 Phillies are world champions of baseball. Okay. I heard that it was at Pat Burrell's apartment after you guys were like done gallivanting around town. Everyone went back to Pat Burrell's or something, and the game was on. This was Brad Lidge told me this story once.
Well, Brad's a snitch. He shouldn't be telling this story. We're hanging out at Pat's place.
You know what? You know what it was? You know what it was? Chase Utley's lovely wife, Jen Utley, she told me the story during an interview, and I confirmed it with Brad Lidge. That was the story.
Oh my God, what a bunch of snitches!
And I just heard that you guys, that was the first time you guys heard Harry's call.
Oh yeah. So afterwards, man, there was champagne everywhere. I don't know if we were drunk. My eyes were still burning, and I didn't care. It felt great. I didn't know where I ended up, honestly. But I knew we were at Pat's place, and I'll never forget this story. Like, we heard it obviously because it was playing on TV at Pat's place, but we all go to Pat's place and he has no beer. I'm like, what? You got no beer? Why are we here? I thought we were partying, and so I don't know if you know this, but Philadelphia cops were like outside of Pat's place, and I said, I'll take care of this. About 5 of us, I think Lidge might have been with me. We went to this place and it was closed, but the cops were with us. We rode, and they opened the place up for us, and we took all their beer and loaded it in the back of a cop car, or a cop Explorer, like it was an Explorer or something. And then I'm like, this has got to be illegal as hell right now. Cops we paid for it, obviously. Like, we gave the guy a bunch of money to get the beer or whatever, but I'm like, cops toting us around with like an Uber driver with all this beer in the back, and we're popping them open as we're driving with them in the back and stuff. And I'm going, this has got to be illegal as hell. but this is awesome. Like, the cops are literally getting us drunk.
And when you say you paid
at Pat's place.
Okay, when you say you paid, just for clarification for people watching, you paid the guy whose shop it was, or you guys paid?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, just making sure.
Yeah. No, the cops like basically ran security for us the whole night, like at the bottom of Pat's place. Because if you heard the story, from somebody, I think the whole city knew we were at Pat's place.
Okay.
Like, I have no idea how would it, but the cops basically ran security. There was a couple people that came in there like half naked, and I'm like, who is that guy? Well, I don't know.
You guys don't know the trainer? That's the trainer of it.
No, but he could have came in naked. We probably recognized him because we all had to shower together anyway.
True. Fair enough. Fair enough. That's amazing. Well, Brett, I wish you nothing but success with music, my friend. I've heard some of the stuff. It's great. I would not use me as a music critic. All right.
That's okay.
I don't know if you see Frank Sinatra over my shoulder or not, but that's kind of the music I'm into.
I like it.
My man. Wrong Side of the Tracks is available now for download. Make sure you guys follow everything that Brett's putting out there. You can follow him on Facebook. Here's the page one more time for everybody. You guys can check it out as well throughout the different social media platforms, including Twitter. You guys should follow him on Twitter. I like this Backwood Rebel 39. Make sure you check him out right there, as well as Instagram, Brett Myers Music 39. So make sure you guys check him out. Brett, such a joy talking to you, my man. Hopefully we can have you again in the future. And
absolutely,
I'll go ahead and root against the Phillies not to win until
I don't know if that's a smart choice, living in Philadelphia or not, or even saying that out loud. I don't know if I would go outside in the street saying, "I hope they suck today."
I'll avoid it.
Might get a couple things thrown at you.
Yeah, I'll try to avoid that. Brett Myers, thank you so much, and as always, thanks for 08. And I'll try to talk more about your pitching and not just that at bat against Seasons Sabathia.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Brett Myers joining us on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. Well, yeah, I think we've all had those nights, right? We're celebrating, the cops drove us around and got to help us get booze. We've all had those nights, right? That was a lot of fun, man. Oh, it was so much fun just having a conversation. You guys can probably tell, like, in that moment, like, you become like talking about stuff like that, like 2008 Phillies and a career like Brett's and coming up, because his first year in the majors was 02. And I remember my buddies and I were all like excited because Brett Myers was like their best pitching prospect. And this is obviously before Cole Hamels and all that stuff. And you're just thinking to yourself, oh, this kid's going to come up here. He's supposed to have this vicious curveball. And he did. I remember his first start against the Cubs at Wrigley Field. And I remember that hook, man, it was something. It really was something. It was worth the hype. And that year was the year after they had just missed out on making the playoffs for the first time since 1993, when they lost, I want to say 2 of 3 to the Braves in the second to last series of that season. Then Brett comes up the following year. Then 2003, they start to build 4, 5, 6, and then 7, they make it to the playoffs. 8, they win the World Series. 9, they lose the World Series, and then Brett was gone by 2010. But that was our reintroduction to postseason baseball. And that was also our first championship. And I guess if you win your first championship since 1983, you go from 83 with the Sixers to 2008 with the Phillies. You win your first championship. I guess cops are going to be your friend that night. And they're going to drive you around and get you booze. And first off, what the hell, Pat Burrell, Mr. Party Boy, Mr. Party Animal? No booze in the apartamento, amigo? What the hell's the matter with you? But Brett Myers steps in. He goes, you know what? I know how to solve this problem. Goes down. As he says, about 4 or 5 other guys. He thinks Lidge was one of them. And they go to a beer distributor nearby. They pay for the booze. The cops apparently help them procure it. And then they come back to the house or the apartment and they party till dawn, as they say. I will add this. When I originally talked to Jen Utley about it, and I'm pretty sure I had the order right. I think Jen Utley told me before Brad Lidge told me, and I confirmed it with Lidge, but whatever. Jen Utley told me that her and Chase were obviously at Pat Burrell's having a great time, wee small hours of the morning, right? And then they go back to their house. And if you remember, Jen and Chase were very big on the SPCA and rescuing animals and adopting animals and all that. And they had just got this new dog. And they come back, if I have this right, bottom line is they come back from Pat Burrell's house and there's dog poop all over their apartment. all over their apartment. The dog apparently got out of the cage and just went crazy all over the apartment. And they got back from winning the World Series, celebrating all night, and then had to clean up dog poop in their apartment. So that's how the Utleys ended their celebration of the World Series the trophy, or winning the World Series. But I really liked what Brett had to say about Major League Baseball now and trying to get more money for the players and universal DH. He's against it. He gets why they're changing it. I am someone that's always been against the DH, but I'm more so just accepting that this is going to be the way it is. And there is a competitive advantage for American League teams in signing athletes like they did with Albert Pujols, where they could just throw a whole bunch of money at him in the American League versus the National League because they know at worst they can make him a DH later on in his career. So now this is actually a really good thing for the latter stages of Bryce Harper's career if that's the direction it ends up going. But I really enjoyed the interview, really enjoyed the conversation, and his stuff about Charlie Manuel. Like, anytime I talk to a former player of Charlie Manuel's, there is such a demeanor of reverence when talking about Charlie. You really, like, everybody that talked about him being a player's manager, I don't know if we will ever have anyone like him again in that regard. Like, players loved him. And even if there was disagreement, it was done in a respectful manner. And it was done because it was the truth. It wasn't like, I don't like you, so you're not playing. It was, we both know what's happening. You don't have your best stuff. I'm pulling you from this game. Or we both know what's happening. You're in a bad slump right now. We need to sit you. We need to get you out. Even in the times, I believe it was 2 separate times he benched Jimmy Rollins for not hustling. Jimmy knew the deal. Be on time and hustle. Charlie's 2 rules. Be on time and hustle. You break both of those, you're in trouble. You break one of them, you're in a little bit of trouble. You're going to find yourself sitting next to the man on the pine there in the dugout. And that's exactly what happened with Jimmy. Guys like Ryan Howard will talk about Charlie Manuel with great reverence. Jeez, Jim Thome breaks down and cries when he gets asked about Charlie Manuel. It's amazing. And the other thing, the other guy that you always talk about with great reverence is Harry Kalas. And I mean, for many of you, just like, I mean, summer of your childhood, it's the voice of your summer is the voice of your childhood, Harry Kalas. And to hear the way he would bond with players and hearing Darren Dalton talk about him and hearing all these different players talk about it, John Kruk talk about Harry Kalas. And obviously Jamie Moyer. I remember going to Harry Kalas's funeral at Citizens Bank Park, and it was just such an amazing experience, and felt good to be able to say goodbye to somebody that meant so much to me in my life as a fan. And then to hear guys that either had their careers called by him talk about Harry Kalas with that reverence is amazing. And I'll never forget Brett Myers going out there to the HK insignia in left center field and being one of the first guys to cheers his Budweiser, his big ass Budweiser pounder, and like pour beer on it and like, hey, this is for you, Harry, that whole thing. And to hear the way they bonded with him and he bonded with the players, it really makes you wish you were a fly on the wall to see how those conversations went down. So I appreciate Brett jumping on and having that conversation with us. And yeah, as far as the Millwood not riding the bus, I don't know. And when I followed up with him, Brett didn't know either. And I don't know if he just wasn't questioning it because he was like the big time free agent they brought in from the Braves, who was like the 4th man of the rotation over there or 3rd or 4th man of the rotation in Atlanta. And then was supposed to be the number 1 guy here in Philly and threw a no-hitter on a Sunday afternoon at Veterans Stadium. I don't know why. I wish I had more information on that. I followed up with Brett. He did not know. So that's that. I do remember with Kevin Millwood, he had a stool. I remember in the batter's box, he would have to sit on a stool. He'd be all sweaty. Can I get a stool? That's one of my takeaways from Kevin Millwood. Oh, and the no-hitter. Yeah, I mentioned that. Anyway. Appreciate you guys, everybody in the chat. We will get to a chat check today. A little extended Farzy show for you fine people today, thanks to Brett Myers. So there we go. Let me tell you guys, and Rothman Orthopaedics, of course, brings us that guest line, which brought us Brett Myers today. And shout out to our man, Jason, our booker, Jason, who was kind enough to reach out to Brett Myers and was able to get him for us today. Maybe your knee gave out. Maybe you tweaked your back. Maybe you popped your shoulder. I've done that enough times, that not since I've seen Rothman Orthopaedics, because the Rothman approach to orthopedics is here to get you back to being you, back to running, walking, working, and playing, back to living your life the way you want. I'm telling you right now, guys, 2 months ago when I hurt my shoulder, I was able to do some workouts with Rothman Orthopaedics, did some rehab. They diagnosed it. It's a pinched nerve, so I was able to do some stuff for rehab, for therapy, so to speak. And yesterday, you know what I was doing? I was out in the yard with my daughter, and she impromptu looked at me, little toots, 2.5 years old, beautiful kid. She looks at me, she goes, Dad. She goes, Daddy. She goes, dance, Daddy, dance. And I'm swinging her around and picking her up and throwing her around. We're listening to Encanto, because if you have kids, that's the rule. You have to listen to Encanto, and you never talk about Bruno. No. And so all that, and we were doing that yesterday. We were just dancing, man. We were just having ourselves a great time. Father-daughter. It was really nice. And it was right after I put the ball on the tee for her. She was hitting the ball off the tee. She's a ringer. Let me tell you. Maybe you could bet on my daughter sometime with the WinView app when she's in the pros. How's that for a segue? WinView is the only game where fans can take on other fans and end the debate once and for all. Who's the biggest sports fan? If you have those friends and family members who think they know everything about sports, play them in a WinView contest and see if they can walk the walk as well as they talk the talk. Sixers, by the way, going off at -6.5 tonight. Favorites. -6.5. I think I'm going to go big on the Sixers tonight. Going to go big on the Sixers tonight. WinView is the only game where fans can take on other fans and end the debate once and for all. Who's the bigger sports fan? So download the WinView app right now. Have yourself a good time. It's not a sports book. It's not daily fantasy. It's a social gaming app where fans can win real money prizes. We're making predictions on the games that you love so much. So make sure you download the WinView app right now. Let me tell you about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. PHLSportsNation.com. And also, don't forget RothmanOrtho.com. RothmanOrtho.com, the official orthopedic partner of your Phillies, Eagles, and Sixers. Let's get to the chat check, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to do a little bit different. Start from the bottom and then go up. Most recent, I'm going to work backwards, in other words. That's how smarter people would say that. Well, he won't do. I've heard stories where Brett's kind of crashed alumni events. He's come back. I know he's come back. We've all heard a lot. Kevin Millwood was an odd character. Cecil, Zach, I agree. Mac, what's going on? Brian, how are you? Favorite convo I've heard in a long time. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. Oh, that's really nice, April. One of the best interviews yet. I appreciate that. You may say you're out on baseball, but you can definitely tell it's still your first love. You know what it is? I'm a scoring lover. That's what it is. Matt, you're very kind. Thank you. Julian, you're awesome. Don, that's why they needed PJ as a babysitter, dog sitter. Come on. Because you imagine there's not many, there can't be too many moments that are more immediately humbling than winning a World Series, celebrating all night, getting back to your house and be like, well, there's dog crap all over the place. I guess we got to clean this up. Darian, thank you. You're kind. SB, what's going on, man? Appreciate you. Falconator 51. Oh, yeah, man. Living out there on the West Coast. I got you. April, I would love to do an interview series with a lot of guys from the OA team. Lidge would come on. Lidge, I will say this. When you interview these people and you try not to fanboy out, obviously, there's definitely things that you say that strikes a nerve, whether positive or negative. And with Brad Lidge, I feel like Brad Lidge likes me, and I'll tell you why. Because I always ask him about archaeology. Because I'm a nerd, and if I wasn't in this business, I'd be like teaching history somewhere and like coaching basketball maybe. And I love asking Brad Lidge about his excavations in Rome, in Italy, and all that. And I always ask him about the trowel. I think that's what it is. The little thing it looks like you're like scooping pie out for everybody, right? Or cake out at a birthday party. The little thing that I got this, Indiana Jones, and no, you have that, the Ark of the Covenant. No way, it was right there. But like that whole thing, and he does that, and I always ask him about it, and I think he likes that, so I think he'd come on with me sometime. I just made no sense whatsoever, but I don't know. Hopefully, I painted a picture that makes sense. I don't know if Tight Pants would come on with me, April, but we'll give it a shot at one time. Dan, yeah, same thing. I'll try to get Tight Pants on at some point. A lot of people jumped out the Millwood thing. Yeah, it's weird. Jim, I told you guys before, you are getting an extended show. That is happening. It's just a question of when, and probably when my wife and I are out of the two little kids. Like when when Leo is probably sleeping through the night, that's probably around the time the Sixers will be in the playoffs. The Flyers won't be. And Eagles will be ramping up and all that stuff, and maybe you'll have baseball by then. So, a 2-hour show is coming. A lot of people excited about Brett. Dan Schwartz, you listened to Wrong Side of the Tracks all through the weekend. You're damn right I did, folks. Check this out. Here, look at where it is. There, hey, follow him on Instagram, too. Wrong Side of the Tracks. Available now. Let's see. Yeah, beautiful guitars. Like, that's a flex. That is such a flex, man. Like the guys with the things, right? All the guitars behind them. That is awesome. Like I always go back to this, and Brett Myers makes me think of this a lot because athlete, musician, the whole thing. I remember, you guys remember the movie Mr. Baseball with Tom Selleck? I'm talking, this movie was probably like 91, maybe 92. And Tom Selleck plays a Major League Baseball player who gets traded to Japan, right? He has to play in Japan. But anyway, I remember that year there's a lot of promotion, and then shortly thereafter, the Orioles hosted the World Series. Yeah, right. The Orioles hosted the All-Star game. And I remember Tom Selleck played in the celebrity game. And one of the things he said was athletes want to be actors and athletes want to be actors and actors want to be athletes. He's like, those are the two things that just always go hand in hand in this world. And I think about that to the next degree. And it's like, yeah, sure, that might be true. Actors want to be athletes. Athletes want to be actors. While rock stars are just like, what do you guys do again? Like, because their lives are awesome and they don't care. Like to go into that music field and just like feel the rhythm, feel the beat, baby, and just really enjoy that and love that. It's like, there's nothing better than that. And then I hear like comics talk about, and then there's like comedians where people just laugh at us all day. Evan, what's going on, Evan? Thank you. Shiloh, what's going on? Appreciate you. Trent, Kyle. Gonna hit 2,000. Kyle, we could hit 2,000 subscribers today. What are we at right now? Allora. Oh, 6 subscribers away. 6 subscribers away from 2,000. I can hear you guys making some bot accounts right now. Appreciate it. Mike Fuji, what's going on, buddy? Nice to see you. Sean, how are you? Where's there's Reese Theodore. Or do you say it different in Australia? It's like Theodore in Australia. I don't know. But Reese, welcome to the show. Glad you're watching in Melbourne. That one I know. There you go. Appreciate you. Appreciate everyone joining the chat today. As per usual, you guys are awesome. No, Farzy, we don't. I assume what you don't is seen you don't remember the movie Mr. Baseball. We're not all 58 years old, says Marc. There you go. That's the team you played for. You're at one more after I finally subscribe. Oh, hey, wait, Falconator, you had been watching and following, but you didn't subscribe? All right, well, whatever. Hold on. Let's see if we got one more. Let me see if it registers on my thing here. All right, maybe you did, maybe you didn't. I don't know. Maybe it's just slow to update. Let's see. Bulls have lost 4 in a row. Would be yes. Bulls lost 4 in a row. That's in our morning rush. Oh, Zach, that's really nice of you. Zach says I'm the best interviewer in the game. That's very nice of you, Zach. I appreciate that. And it's also nice to know that my mom has a burner account on here. Won't come back for Phillies events. Oh, we talked about that. Okay. All right. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. John Cheeseborough. How'd I miss you, buddy? What the hell's bells? It's a trap, Farzy? What the hell? I always love that. Oh, Falconator. That's really nice. The interview saved me, and it has made the last 72 hours of my life. Really needed this. This is why I love Farzy. Oh, Falconator, you're too kind. I appreciate that. John, I thought I saw another one from you earlier. I just want to get it in, get your comment in here as well. Oh, Ray, what's going on, Ray? Baseball is trying everything to make the game more interesting for the young generation because there's too many things going on. They don't pay attention to baseball like back in the day. Yes, and hey, look, I'm for a pitch clock, by the way. I kind of got the impression Brett was not. Not that I directly asked him about it, but yeah, why you got to change things, I think, goes on with that. Starting from the bottom of the chat and working backwards, it's a trap. John, you're exactly right. Appreciate you, John. Thanks everyone in the chat. You guys are awesome. That's our chat check, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move into our morning rush, brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Flyers off tonight. They're back against the Golden Knights tomorrow night, 7 o'clock puck drop. They go for back-to-back wins. First time since before the All-Star game. Sixers, 7 o'clock tonight against the Bulls. Big game in the Eastern Conference standings. The Bulls are, second place in the Eastern Conference standings right now, behind the Heat. Sixers are obviously threatening in that spot as well. So hopefully these Sixers take care of business and get the win tonight. Again, they're going off at -6.5. James Harden will be back in the lineup tonight, so I'm hoping that is exactly what the Sixers need. This is the game. Now, I even put this out over the weekend after they beat the Cavs. They came back to beat the Cavs, and they didn't have a lot of business beating the Cavs. But they came back. They did what they were supposed to do. They won that game. They lost to the Heat without James Harden, as we know, on a back-to-back. We get it. This is a game against the Bulls where the Sixers have to dominate. Like, that 6.5, I wanted at 8.5. The Sixers have to dominate this game tonight. Just to give us warm and fuzzies going on for the rest of the year, with the, 18 games left on the schedule, the Sixers are going to need to go on a huge run here. Now, they just got their 5-game win streak snapped 4 games in the James Harden era, even though James Harden didn't play. So this is a game that I like to see them go out there and really take advantage of and kind of, I like to say, announce their presence with authority when it comes to the Sixers and what they can do going forward. Announce your presence with authority tonight against the Bulls, please. I said over the weekend, it's just a matter of time. Like I said, the Sixers are the best team in the Eastern Conference. It's just a matter of time before the standings reflect that. And right now, going into this game, okay, Bulls are now 3.5 games out of first place. Sixers and Bucks are 3 games out of first place behind the Heat. So put some distance between you and the Bucks and the Bulls, especially the Bulls, so you can pick up a game on with a win today. Get to that 2 spot in the Eastern Conference solo, and then go on a run from there, please, and thank you. My thanks to everyone that participated in the chat. My thanks to everyone. Jim Hyden produced the program, did a phenomenal job. This is a Buzz Sports Entertainment production. My thanks to Brett Myers for joining the show today. I'll give this to you guys one more time for his Instagram account. You guys can follow him right there. Brett Myers Music 39. Give him a follow for his music, especially if you're, and how about that, almost touring with Leonard Skinner? That's pretty awesome. My thanks again to our friend Jason for setting up the interview with Brett Myers as well. Great job by you, Jason. My name is Marc Farzy. I'll be back with you guys tomorrow, hopefully talking about a dominant 76ers win over the Chicago Bulls. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Take it easy.